Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at noon starts now.
The brutally cold temperatures still here, enough to freeze parts of the Detroit River. Those frigid temperatures prompting over 500 school closings today as frostbite remains a real danger. Thank you for joining us this noon. I'm Rhonda Walker.
And I'm Kim DeGiulio in for Jason Goldthorpe. A wind chill advisory just lifted for most of southeast Michigan, but that doesn't mean that the cold is going away. Ashley Barrissey is tracking it all for us. Ashley, are things going to warm up at all today?
We will see a little improvement this afternoon. I do want to start this noon hour with our winter weather alert maps because we are just less than a minute away, since it's 11:59, from seeing this alert expire here in southeastern Michigan. And that alert is the wind chill advisory, but still tracking winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories to our northwest, and some hard freeze warnings down to the south. But bringing it back here closer to home, that advisory is expired because the criteria for one should be about 15 below zero for that feels like temperature. This is where we're at right now. 5 to almost 10 below zero is what it feels like. So it certainly isn't warm out there, but we are at least lifting the advisory as we slowly, ever so slowly, climb out of this deep freeze. But taking another look at our downtown skyline, you can see a lot of ice on the Detroit River, but we do have some blue skies, so the sun will help as far as treating some roadways, but the temperatures haven't been helping us when it comes to the rock salt. So hopefully we can hold on to some sun for a little while longer. We sit at 12 in Detroit, 11 in Howell, 9 in Pontiac, 11 in Adrian. And today's afternoon highs should get into the teens. So that's a little improvement. But when you factor in the winds are in the teens as far as 15 to 18 mile per hour wind speeds, that is giving us those still dangerous wind chills. So our high today will be around 4, partly cloudy skies, 17, but probably feeling like single digits. A quick little look at what we're tracking satellite. Well, we have some more cloud cover coming in, and that will also bring some snow showers heading into tomorrow. So as we get into your Thursday and Friday, we'll detail the timeline for another little snow.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Well, this harsh weather is impacting much of the U.S., and that's causing chaos for airports and airlines. More than 10,000 flights across the country were delayed and canceled yesterday, and already today, delays and cancellations are stacking up by the hundreds across the country. The good news is that flights heading in and out of Detroit are going smoothly. And with the harsh weather sticking around, our forewarn alert day coverage is extending into tomorrow. Join us on air and online for constant updates as our weather team works to keep you aware of what's to come so you can keep you and your family safe.
The hype is building for this spring's NFL draft that, of course, will be right here in downtown Detroit. And today, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is here at Ford Field, speaking and highlighting just how big of a deal this is for football fans and, honestly, for the entire city.
This is so exciting. It's all about the NFL these days.
Yeah.
So Rod Maloney is live for us today from Ford Field. Now, Rod, this event is going to bring a ton of people to the city of Detroit.
Well, the estimate is something around 200,000 and could be even 300,000 people if you want to stand in the middle of that crowd come April. And, you know, we've all been in Ford Field hundreds of times. Heck, I was in here before they even built the place. But there's something new and special and different about it today with all that's going on. What a month it has been for football here in Metro Detroit. But, you know, here's the thing. Roger Goodell in town today talking about the draft, and he talks a lot about the things that went into it, like the fact that Detroit needed 3 attempts to get the draft, much like it tried to get the Super Bowl back right after Ford Field opened. And so it was a team effort. And one of the things that Goodell talked about was the NFL had to make that decision whether to leave New York City. And then when they went out, they kind of have to leave it to the local community to get it right. And he is very confident Detroit is ready for this.
What you've done in this community is amazing. I've been coming here for decades. You see what you've done physically in the downtown area, but it's really as much about the way you've come together in the public and the private sector, and you've rallied around this community. And I think people in the world should see it, and you're going to have that opportunity. So if everyone sees what Detroit really is and the passion of the people in this community, that will be a successful draft.
Well, Detroit is one of the foundational NFL teams, older than, say the Patriots or some of the AFL teams that came along later in the expansion. But one of the other things they talked about is that you have to remember that there are like 6 teams within like a 4-hour drive of Metro Detroit, and that is apparently going to bring a lot of people. And so what they're talking about is 200,000 to 300,000 people, but they're also talking about a $200 million boost to the Metro Detroit economy, and those are big numbers. And of course the Visit Detroit people are very happy about that, the former Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're going to be talking more to Roger Goodell and also Claude Molinari from Visit Detroit coming up later on Local 4 News at 5. Reporting live at Ford Field, Rod Malona, Local 4.
Yeah, and I've got friends who live all over the country, and they have their hotels booked. They're coming in for it. It's going to be awesome. And speaking of which, we are getting a clearer picture of the economic impact of these home playoff games at Ford Field. Visit Detroit, an organization that promotes Metro Detroit tourism, says that each Lions playoff game at Ford Field will pump an estimated $20 million into the city's economy. The projections are based on factors like game attendance, hotel occupancy, and increased business at bars and restaurants. Now, we're working to dig deeper into the numbers, and we'll have more on that tonight on Local 4 News at 5. We also want to remind you, Local 4 is your place for all things Lions on Sunday. Kickoff is at 3 p.m., though you'll want to tune in long before that. Our All-In Playoff Edition special live coverage from Ford Field will start at 1 o'clock following the game. You can watch Local 4 News at 6 for post-game reaction when we win, obviously. We're going to analyze the whole game for you guys. And another major sporting event coming to the city later this year is looking for volunteers. The Detroit Grand Prix is looking for about 800 people. Volunteers will work jobs like ticket scanners, ushers, and in-shuttle services. For their help, volunteers get several benefits, including an event credential that grants them access to the venue throughout the race weekend, free parking, and free meals. You can apply on DetroitGP.com/volunteer.
So much to look forward to.
Sports Town.
Yes. Turning to other news this noon, the man charged in the shooting of a Detroit police officer who survived the injuries is expected to be in court today. 45-year-old Barrington Washington is due in court for a bond hearing. Prosecutors say that it was Washington that got into a shootout with police officers last week. He ended up hitting one of the officers who was still recovering from his injuries. Washington faces several charges, including 2 counts of assault with intent to murder. And today, the Dearborn fire chief could learn his fate over his decision to drink and drive. Police arrested the chief, Joseph Murray, back in August after pulling him over for speeding. Officers noticed that he was driving under the influence and took him into custody. Body cam video caught the whole interaction. His sentencing was previously scheduled for today, but we are working to confirm if it's still happening. Turning now to a newly released 911 call that is shedding light on the secret hospitalization of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez has the call.
Fairfax County 911, where is your emergency?
It was New Year's Day, just after 7 p.m., when Lloyd Austin's aide called 911 from the Defense Secretary's home.
Can I ask, but can the ambulance not show up with lights and sirens? We're trying to remain a little subtle.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, usually when they turn into a residential neighborhood, they'll turn them off.
In the newly released audio obtained by NBC News, the dispatcher then asks about Austin's condition.
Did he pass out, or does he feel like he's going to pass out?
No.
The Pentagon previously said Austin was taken to the hospital for complications following a surgery to treat prostate cancer about 2 weeks earlier.
If we need them to take him to Walter Reed Medical, is that a possibility?
Let them know that when they get there.
Doctors at Walter Reed say Austin was first diagnosed in early December. The 911 call now adding to questions about why President Biden was not informed of that diagnosis for a month. Does the president think that's acceptable?
It is not optimal, Gabe.
The White House wasn't even told about Austin's New Year's Day hospitalization for 3 days. Neither was Austin's deputy, who'd taken over some of his duties while she was vacationing in Puerto Rico. The intensely private Austin later said he took full responsibility and could have done a better job ensuring the public was appropriately informed. The president says he still has full confidence in him. But
was it an option judgment for him not to tell you earlier?
Yes.
As Gabe Gutierrez reporting, the Pentagon says that Austin will work remotely for a period of time before returning to work at the Pentagon.